So I was just having lunch with a friend, and we were talking about mental health and mental illnesses and how it's affecting the Black community. It's affecting every community. It's not just the Black community, but specifically in the Black community, there's an issue with therapy and medication, right? Like, oh, you better pray about it. You better, girl, and that's the go-to. And that's cool, right? Prayer is great. Meditation is great. Any type of form of centeredness is amazing. So absolutely do that also. But sometimes we're in a certain mental space where you can't just pray about it and still fix the underlying issues. Sometimes you do need medication, right? Sometimes you do need to go talk to somebody, because going to talk to somebody or getting a medication that allows you to be open enough mentally to talk to somebody is what can help with overall betterment. Meaning, if you fix the underlying issue, you won't always have to be on medication. If you fix the underlying issue, you won't always have to go see a therapist, even though I think that seeing a therapist forever and ever is great. But specifically in regards to whatever mental illness you're struggling with, if you have to see a therapist or take a medication for a limited amount of time in order to feel better in 5 years for the rest of time, then why not, right? We're so concerned with what people think about us in regards to like a illness like that, being called insane or being called crazy. I remember when I got diagnosed with bipolar mania in 2014, and the first thing I thought about when they said it was, when I was a kid, my cousin girlfriend or baby mama was diagnosed with bipolar mania, and she was in the hospital. And my family just was like, not just like in my family as far as a negative sense, but they were just talking about her, and I don't think they meant any harm by it. It was just regular communication. It was just what people did. Oh, girl, she crazy as hell. I knew her ass was crazy, girl. She went off when Nate took her food out the refrigerator. Remember that shit? Hell yeah, I would have went off too if somebody took my damn food out the refrigerator. That doesn't fucking make me bipolar or crazy. And I just remember when being diagnosed, I was so afraid to even accept the idea of it, because I was like, I don't want my family calling me crazy. I don't want my family treating me like they treated her when she got diagnosed or when she got locked up for it, and I think also that we attach ourselves, right, to these labels. I'm bipolar. Oh my God, I got diagnosed with bipolar. Now that's gonna trigger the behaviors because of this diagnosis. Well, how do bipolar mania people think? How do they act? Well, I gotta embody however that is. And it's not even done purposefully, right? It's not like, oh, this thing, bipolar mania is something I have, now I gotta go act like it. It's usually just you attract the label. Once you claim it and you accept it, you attract the energy of it. So other people that you've seen exude that behavior, now you're doing the same thing, because that's how, quote unquote, bipolar, and I don't know if you're supposed to do the fingers if you're gonna say the words or whatever, but that's how bipolar people act. And it's the reality is you don't have to accept the label, but you can work through steps to make sure that you are taking care of your overall self-care all the time, just in general, and having nothing to do with the label anyway. Even if you weren't diagnosed with bipolar or schizophrenia or any of these other mental illnesses, PTSD, any of these things, right? Say you weren't. What are you doing anyway in your day to make sure that your mental health is okay? To make sure, the same way that you go to the gym, right? And I know y'all have heard this 1,000,001 times, and you go and you push out, these push-ups and shit, and you on the treadmill, you working your body, but are you working your mind? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you thinking about? Ooh, I was thinking about holding that phone. What are you thinking about, right? What is going on a day-to-day basis with your mental health? Or are you just reactive? Are you just living this life that has been presented to you without questioning or wondering whether or not there's something more to it, right? And so when I think about how we look at mental health and mental illness, it's so negative right now. And it doesn't have to be that way. It just has to be acknowledged. It has to be, like me, I'm not on any medications for bipolar mania, though I was diagnosed with it, but I do have a ridiculous ass meditation process. I do have a ridiculous ass self-care plan. Like, I don't play when it fucking comes to my self-care, because I know what it feels like to not be that way. I know what it feels like to feel like I'm fucking crazy and to be questioning every other thought that comes in my mind because I've been labeled, right? I know exactly what that feels like. And I also know what it feels like to go through traumatic ass situations that will change the way that you think about life, that will change the way that you look at society. But it doesn't have to be one or the other. There can be a coexistence of both people's viewpoints. The reality is I've been through certain shit that other people will never be able to understand, right? That doesn't make me crazy. And I will not accept the label of being told that I'm crazy, because the reality is I was never emotionally equipped to be able to deal with the trauma. The trauma that came into my life was fucking crazy. And I'd never seen anything like it. And the shit that I constantly did see was handled in a very negative way. It was handled in a very rejecting, this isn't real, fuck that, they don't know what they talking about kind of way. But did the person ever get better? Did they ever get happier? Did they ever have a more serene, peaceful, at ease life? No. So when I thought about me and what I was being labeled as, I didn't embody the label itself and say, oh, I'm bipolar, but I did embody the idea that certain behaviors that are not benefiting me or growing me are ultimately harming me. And why is that? Why do I react this way to these things? Why am I this kind of person? What are some things that I don't particularly care about in myself that I would prefer to be, that I would prefer to change? What are those things? Am I asking these questions, or am I just living the life that other people have presented for me? And I think that that's who I am, you know? And so that's all embodied in that mental health awareness. It's just, it's not negative. We're all growing. We're all experiencing life in this same reality right now. And that's going to be a constant shifting in the way we think, in the way that we see things, in the way that we exist with people, and the way that we communicate. And sometimes the way that somebody is brought up and what they've been through or what they're going through is not going to match up with with somebody else's, but that doesn't fucking make them crazy. That means that they need to be dealing with something that's in their life that's been presented to them. That doesn't make them bipolar, because one day they're sad and one day they're happy. And don't get me wrong, I do believe there are people out here that just have a straight up chemical imbalance, and that's real for them. And for those people, we empathize. At the same time, though, they have to get medication and do what they need to do to take care of themselves, to be balanced in order to engage with society on a normal basis. But for other people that have been labeled that way, and you're not always exuding those signs, you're not always, I think that we don't have to embody the label itself. And so to sum this all up, you create the label. The label doesn't create you. So people can be saying whatever they want to say, that you're bipolar, that you're crazy, that you're whatever it is, right? People can say that, and you don't have to embody that. You can create whatever you want to create for your existence without the bullshit of what, quote unquote, that disease comes with. I'm a living example of that. And I'm not going to say I never claimed it. I accept the fact that I've been diagnosed with it, but I don't exude the behaviors of it, because there's no need for me to. I'm just me, you know, and I don't have to go and be anything different than that but me. But at the same time, what parts of me is helping me in my journey, and what parts of me are harming me in my journey? And that's that self-care plan that you gotta have for yourself, you know. And people that know other people that's going through shit, that dealing with mental health, reach out, you know, let them know that they're being thought about, and that, you know, that they're a part of your mental state, because that really does matter. If a person reaches out and say, yo, I was just thinking of you, that makes a fucking person's day sometimes. Like, today's time, we need as much reaching out and as much support as we can get, you know, for each other. And I'm not saying that because I want somebody to call me in particular. I'm saying that, like, in general, I do it all the time. I'll just text somebody and say, yo, how you doing? Just checking on you, because that's important to them, especially somebody that might be really going through something and they don't have nobody to talk to, and they would prefer not to talk to anybody. To know that they're being thought about kind of puts a break in those insane, repetitive negative thoughts. It kind of makes it think like, maybe I do matter. It really does help. But all right, y'all, I'm Kelly Howard. I'm out.